invitation first. And anyway, I request Anand Kumar sir to proceed further and introduce our guest today.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Once again, good morning and warm welcome to all of you for the STTP on power electronics in electrical vehicle and renewable energy. Today we are having a topic optimization techniques for electrical vehicle and renewable energy system. For this, we are having today's resource person, Dr. H.T. Zadav sir. He is working as head of department in electrical engineering at RIT Islampur, Maharashtra. He has completed his BE from Government College of Engineering, Karad, completed his ME from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli, and completed his PhD from SV National Institute of Technology, Surat, Gujarat. He is also a certified person as an energy auditor by Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Government of India. He is having 23 years of experience in the teaching field. His research areas are wind energy integration issues, economic dispatch and optimal power flow studies, power electronics, energy auditing and management, nature inspired optimization techniques. He is also a member of professional bodies like IEEE, ISTE, IET. He is also a BOS member of Shivaji University. He is also a reviewer for various journals like IEEE, Elsewhere, IET, Taylor Francis. He has handled and completed various research projects like third-party inspection of water treatment plant of Sangli Miraj Municipal Corporation, study to examine agriculture energy consumption in Maharashtra project, which was done jointly with IIT Mumbai, project to improve power factor of feeder in Kolhapur district. Again, this was jointly done with IIT Mumbai. Then again, energy audit of lighting system of Jaisinghpur Municipal Council. So if I read the biodata of sir, it will take more time. So instead of this, with this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir, for this session on behalf of Sanjay Ghodat University Electrical Department and on behalf of all the participants. And I kindly request you to start the session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Kumbhar and Dr. Rajan. So let me get into my presentation only now. So today's topic is optimization techniques for EV and renewable energy technologies. So I understand that this particular short-term training program is mostly related to application of power electronics to electric vehicle and renewable energy technologies. And of course, a lot of research is going on in both those verticals, that is EV and renewable energy technologies. So, but then there is something beyond this, which is investigated in many research articles, wherein the researchers have utilized the potential of optimization techniques for various reasons. And as we will see, what are the different approaches, what are the different formulations the researchers have talked about in different research areas. So before I talk in detail about what is the content of this presentation, I believe that after the completion of this session, the participants should be able to formulate suitable optimization problem for, say, electrical vehicle related issue, or maybe renewable energy related issue. And of course, this formulation can be on either side. In sense, this formulation may be to design a power electronic based system, or this formulation may be to deal with grid side issues. Secondly, I believe that this presentation should help participants to apply suitable optimization technique to a problem identified based on the literature review. And I also expect that this particular presentation should help the participant to work on a problem, maybe a problem which is already available in the literature, or participant may formulate altogether new problem, and the participant may solve it by some optimization method, and then the results obtained maybe reported, maybe translated into good research article for the submission to suitable journal. So these are the outcomes of this presentation. So as I said that there are two sides, or say two areas, two verticals in which the renewable energy sector or electrical vehicle sector or the problems associated with these sectors are classified. You can clearly see that there are research problems which are on device side. We'll see what are the what I mean by device, and there are problems or challenges on grid side. So the real motivation here is that, as you know, the fossil fuel is limited in amount. I mean, petroleum products or maybe coal, whatever used for generation of electricity, all these resources are limited in nature. And of course, there are environmental concerns, and as a result of which there is a shift from internal combustion engine based technology to electrical vehicle based technology, as many of the speakers must have pointed out earlier, and you are aware of it also. Moreover, the trend is towards renewable energy technology from conventional power plant, because as you know, in all countries 60 to 70% energy comes from coal or nuclear or other similar resources, and then these resources are disappearing very fast. So wind and solar energy technologies have become more and more mature, and they're available on utility scale. So this change from, say, or this shift from conventional system to a modern system is full of side effects also, and there are several side effects, there are several issue challenges to be addressed, and the researchers in the literature are constantly addressing these challenges. If you just do some Google Scholar search, probably you will notice that there are several research articles in which nature inspired optimization techniques have been tried, have been reported extensively. Probably now there is no area left in engineering where people have not done optimization or they have not used optimization. Earlier optimization techniques were based on some mathematical expressions or mathematical treatment, maybe Lagrange multiplier and then linear programming and so on. But because of the limitations of these methods, there is a trend towards non-mathematical approaches where people have been using nature-inspired algorithms. So we will try to go through one or two techniques depending upon the availability of time and then the interest of the participants. As I said that these methods have been extensively used to optimize the things on device side as well as on grid side. Considering the device side scenario and considering electric vehicle segment, there are many research articles probably you will see where the people have used optimization strategies for power electronic converter or for developing braking strategies wherein regenerative braking is used in a most efficient manner. Or even there are literatures where the people have tried application of these optimization techniques for a battery management system. So just I have listed few things, and these this is EV side, I mean to say device side, where the people have done the research. And I understand that most of the speakers throughout these 5 days, they are going to talk about power electronics side. I mean the application of power electronics to say electric vehicle or maybe renewable energy sector. Whereas my discussion is altogether away from this power electronics, wherein I'll be talking more on optimization side, and I hope you will appreciate it. Secondly, apart from electric vehicle sector, there is an extensive research in renewable energy sector, maybe wind and solar, wherein people have used optimization tools to maximize the power output from these resources. Probably you should be knowing the maximum power point tracking algorithm, which is studied, enormously in several research articles. So they are also nature-inspired algorithms have their application. So this is a research which is on device side. Maybe EV is a device, or maybe doubly fed induction machine is a device where the optimization technique is used for maximization of something. As far as grid side scenario is concerned, as you know that these resources or these things like electric vehicle or renewable energy systems, they have to do something with the grid, because when it comes to a charging infrastructure, public charging infrastructure, we need a grid which will be able to charge the electric vehicle batteries. So there are some concerns on this side. Moreover, as you know that renewable energy, particularly wind and solar, they have been directly integrated to grid, and these are all utility scale systems. And since these resources are highly uncertain, and then these resources or these devices, maybe doubly fed induction machine or maybe a solar inverter, they have got a power electronics inside used for processing the power, and then there are issues to be addressed, and then these issues are especially fault right through capability, or as I said, these resources they are highly uncertain in nature. I mean, wind and solar power is highly uncertain in nature, and then it affects the stability of the grid as well, because these variables, say for example wind and solar irradiations, these variables are beyond the control. So so these resources may affect the stability of the grid, and therefore there are issues on grid side, and then people have used optimization techniques here to optimize the performance. As I said, on EV side, EV charging infrastructure is always a concern, its placement, location, and therefore here also there is a lot of application of optimization technique to come out with very economical solution. Moreover, EV scheduling with renewable energy, or scheduling of say renewable energy into the grid, are the different challenges and problems, and these are handled by using different kind of optimization techniques. So this slide sets the motivation for today's discussion, and hope the things are in order. Maybe I can take a pause and I can ask to Professor Kumbar, is that all right?
Yeah, it is all right, sir.
Okay, that's great.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so let's move ahead. I'll take up a topic of charging infrastructure in the first part of the presentation, and later on I'll just quickly take you through renewable energy related issues, and then in the third part of my presentation I'll try to introduce one or two optimization techniques, particularly nature inspired algorithms. So this presentation is divided into three parts. In the first part, we'll talk about charging infrastructure planning for electric vehicle system. This is also a very good area I believe there are many masters, MTech students, they are from electrical domain, and there are people from mechanical engineering. So they can take up these kind of problems, to be solved by some kind of programming language, maybe MATLAB or maybe Python, depending upon the expertise. And then they can come out with some kind of results, and then these results can be communicated to good journal. Because we don't need here any laboratory resource, barring one computer system and then some kind of computational software, particularly MATLAB. So let me take you through this few slides, around say 2030, where I'll be talking about optimal placement of charging infrastructure. And again, what's the motivation behind this? So as you know that more and more electrical vehicles are expected to enter into market, and in many countries, electrical vehicles have already entered, large electric vehicles. I am referring to four-wheelers and beyond those. So these electric vehicles have concern with the grid. See, again, I'll be talking about a grid side issue, as I classified these issues in two broader categories, like device side issues and grid side issues. So I'll not be talking about the device side issues in rest of my presentations, and I leave with the participants, because see, most of the other speakers, they are going to talk about device side issues. Maybe their talk is mostly focused on power electronic side. So you can figure out some problem there also, and that can be solved by using suitable optimization strategy, right? Whereas my talk is mostly on grid side issues. First part will be related with the charging infrastructure, and then in the later part, I'll talk about the renewable energy, particularly scheduling type of problem, right? So moving ahead and talking about EV infrastructure placement, charging infrastructure location. I mean to say here the optimal placement of charging station in a given framework. So what are these frameworks? I'll talk later. And why this is important. See, why the location of charging infrastructure is very important when it comes to large vehicles, especially four-wheelers, because these charging stations, they impact the grid. Eventually these charging stations are fed by grid, right? So the grid gets affected when these charging stations are, say, connected to several vehicles. They puts the load on the grid. And as you know that there are several charging stations, so it is possible that the load on the power system may be very high at any point of time, and that may overload the grid, and then it may affect the different parameters of the grid also, and therefore this is a concern. Secondly, see, the location of charging infrastructure affects the customers also, because the customers will buy the electric vehicle only if there are enough infrastructures available on the way. While performing the journey, if there is no any charging point available, probably people will prefer to use IC engine based technology, because the fuel is readily available, and therefore the journey will never get affected in that case. So this is another motivation. Having good location of charging infrastructure will drive the adoption of more EVs, because the customers care about their anxiety. I mean, the range of anxiety. If there is no range, I mean to say that if the customer is not sure as to whether he or she will be able to travel to a certain distance with the charge available, then probably he or she will be discouraged to use the EV. So therefore, charging infrastructure has to do a lot with the customer or the penetration of EV into the market. And putting charging station at the right place means the customer can drive their vehicle for a longer distance. So that is another motivation to the customers if the charging infrastructure is appropriately located. So the right location of charging infrastructure will increase the adoption of electric vehicle. It will decrease the market issues, and it will generate more profits, of course, to the EV manufacturing agencies, right? And appropriate location of say charging infrastructure will also ensure that the grid is affected by very less, right? So these are the motivations behind doing this kind of research. This slide shows that how many number of charging stations are there in different parts of the country. This data I have collected from one journal, of course, and this data is available up to 2017 only. So 18, 19, and 20. During last 3 years, what has happened, I don't know. Probably we need to check the web resources to know the location of charging infrastructures across the world. You can notice here in USA there are many places where a reasonable number of chargers are available, and that sets good motivation for the people in that country. Whereas when it comes to the country like India, we have as listed 2 locations where the charging facilities are likely in a near future. So this indicates that there is a lot of scope for working on the location of charging infrastructures, considering the Indian scenario, where a lot of study data collection can be done by some student, and then can run some simulation program, and then can identify a suitable location for a charging infrastructure. So this can be a very good research problem in the Indian perspective, whereas other countries have a reasonable number of charging stations. Not reasonable, but relative to our country, they have good number of points. And then probably by during last 3 years, more number of charging stations must be there added. This is one slide I have taken from the internet resources. It's by Electrify America. Is a company in United States. They provide charging facility to the EV users, and you can see these are the places where this company has planned charging stations. So while finding these locations, this company must have solved some kind of optimization problem based on the data, based on the grid structure, based on the road, road network or transport network, and so on. And they must have arrived to certain conclusion that these are the most suitable locations for putting the charging infrastructure in order to maximize, because this is a company providing charging facility to us, so they must have some clear objective, and objectives are generally, these are the objectives. You can notice that the objective of these players generally are of 3 types. As I said, Electrify America is a DC fast charging network in United States, and they have an objective to minimize the investment and maximize the profit. So with this objective, they must have planned these different charging stations in the locations. Other objectives like maximization of coverage, like a particular utility or particular company may like to expand or say have a more coverage in order to allow more users, EV users, to take the benefit, and eventually they will get benefited in terms of the revenue. So Excel Energy is another company in United States, and they have the map of this company is not displayed, it's not available with me. And then there is one more company. I have just listed 3 major companies in United States and their target or their objectives while placing the charging infrastructure. So the charge point is in a company, and they have their objective to target maximum market share. So these are the different business models the people might be using to identify the suitable location of charging infrastructure in given or considering the constraints. The constraints are in terms of the electrical grid available, or putting the extra grid, or the transport network available. From the technical perspective, there are three types of research problems I have seen, because before preparing this presentation, I did some literature review. I was doing it for last few days, and I noticed that there are literatures where the people have formulated optimization problem considering these three verticals. And these three verticals are optimal placement of charging station considering only transportation network. So a transportation network in any country is already laid. So it's there. You can't lay down another transportation road network. So for a given road network, people have, they have tried to find the optimal placement of charging station. So this is one scenario people have studied, and they have published in good journal articles. The other scenario which I could see, wherein people have considered the existing distribution network either, because see, the electric vehicle charging utilities or charging stations are connected to a distribution network. In our country, the distribution network, it originates from distribution transformer, or maybe a substation, I would say, and this feeder is generally rated with a voltage of 11 kV. So this feeder, which is utilized by the charging station facilities to charge the electric vehicles. So there are a range of publications you can find on Google Scholar, where the people have considered either the existing distribution network, or they have proposed altogether new distribution network for optimization of something, or for minimization of something, or maximization of something. So this is another vertical I could see in the literature. And there is a third vertical wherein people have considered both the things together in order to find out the optimal location of charging station, where the transport network is considered, as well as a distribution network is also considered. So considering these two things, the optimization problem has been formulated, and then it is solved. So I understand that the participant can pick up one of the area and then can work around such area. But what I noticed is there is a lot of scope in this third vertical, where there are very less number of papers published considering transport network as well as a distribution network. So there is a scope to work in this particular vertical by formulating a suitable problem, and then applying a suitable optimization technique, and then finding the results, analyzing, comparing, and then presenting. Fine. So let's continue to talk about now the optimization framework. A general optimization framework is generally presented in terms of these equations. Here I'm assuming that the participants have some idea about optimization formulation, and with this assumption, probably I should be able to communicate the content very comfortably. So here the general framework goes this way: minimize some function which the researcher need to formulate either, or researcher may take up a ready-made objective function published in the literature, and then he or she can try same problem by some other method, and then a comparative study can also be communicated to good journal. So it's the basic, or the most common objective function which you will notice is minimization of z, and the z is a function of some p, u fast and u slow. And what are these terms? Let's see. Where p represents or where z represents anything, the researcher may be interested to minimize the cost, or minimize the electric vehicle flow here, the movement of the electric vehicles or the traffic condition, or it may be a distance the researcher is trying to minimize. I mean, distance between the vehicle and the charging point. Okay, this distance is to be minimized, or there may be another objective to minimize the losses associated with the charging station, or maybe voltage deviation. As I said, that when a charging stations is put into the grid, and this charging station acts as a huge load on the grid, so there are chances that there may be a voltage deviation which may reflect on the transmission side. So that may be an objective to minimize the voltage deviation. Net benefit from this is a commercial optimization, sorry, commercial objective function, where the charging station operator intend to maximize the net benefit. So that objectives can be suggested. You can have your own objective function formulated apart from this or in addition to these, where the P represents the location. See, the unknown variable here is the location eventually, and then you can see these other terms here, and these terms represents the number of fast charging terminals and slow charging terminals. So at particular location, P is a location, but then at particular location there are several terminals, charging terminals to be put up. So all these represents unknown. In short, there are three unknowns you can see: a location itself in a given say framework, or given transport network, or given a distribution layout, and then how many terminals to be put up there in order to minimize something. So this represents the general framework, and there are always the constraints to be respected, because see, electric vehicles are ultimately connected to the grid, and therefore these two constraints are obvious here. One is the equality constraint, another is the inequality constraint. Equality constraint is generally in the form of power balance equations. So you have done load flow studies, power flow studies, where you know that the at a particular bus, because charging station represents one bus, so at that bus the load flow equations should be satisfied. So that represents an equality constraint. There is possibility that there is some kind of inequality constraint also, something like a stability index or budget or something like that. So that represents the inequality constraint. Okay. So this is a general framework. There are four equations I have presented, and they are very general. And in particular, you will find several objective functions reported in the literature. See, this is a classification of charging infrastructure planning problems. So the most of the problem, again, I have taken this slide from some literature, and you can see most of the problems in this area are classified, and I mean, they are represented in the different formats. So one is there are a range of problems where only one objective is settled. Okay, that's a single objective, and there are few literatures where the multiple objectives have been solved by a researcher in order to find the best compromising solutions when there are several conflicting objectives. And secondly, the modeling is very important part. See, this is again a researcher's business. Either, as I said, either the researcher may like to use the existing formulation and then try solve the same problem by different optimization algorithms, or the researcher can study a particular site location considering a practical scenario and then come out with some kind of model, and then of course that model should be justified appropriately to the reviewers in order to have the paper published. And the modelings which are presented in the current literature have this classification. I already said that in a literature, only transport network is considered, only distribution network is, transport means your road network is considered while optimizing something, maximizing or minimizing, whereas there are range of literatures where distribution network is considered, and then both are considered. So then, as far as transport network type of problems are concerned, where the road infrastructure is considered while identifying the suitable location, there are again three approaches people have presented: node-based approach, tour-based approach, and path-based approach. So let's have a very quick look at these three approaches in a next slide. So this is the first category, that is optimal placement in a or locating or placing a charging infrastructure facility considering the transport network. So this particular diagram, you can appreciate that how this problem is formulated and then solved by the researcher. Where suppose a single objective is say set up by a researcher, then it can be anything like EV flow. I mean, the traffic of EV may be one of the objective function, and cost may be another objective function, or there are other kind of objective functions reported here. And these are the constraints generally, like number of chargers, budgetary provision, distance. Distance may be referred in different sense also. We'll see later on how. And then after having identified the objective function and constraint, just use the optimization problem or some kind of technique to solve this problem. And then your decision variable or output variable may contain these things like node of a network, where the location, node or location, and a number of charging points, and then you will also get the objective function value, right? So as I said, there are three approaches in the research articles for this kind of framework. That is, one is a node-based approach, a path-based approach, and the tour-based approach. So as far as the node-based approach is concerned, this could be an optimization framework, like minimize total distance traveled by the consumer to the facility. Here, the distance between consumer point and the charging facility is to be minimized. So that will encourage the EV buyers, right? And in certain multi-objective problems under this category, that is considering a transport network, there are some problems where people have simultaneously tried to minimize the cost, okay? Maybe installation here, the entire cost associated with putting the charging facility, it may be taken this way also. And the other objective they have considered simultaneously to be fulfilled is covering maximum number of vehicle. So coverage maximization. So these kind of problems are also available. Here, this particular sketch shows that what is the meaning of node. So here, node, these are the strategic points, in a considered road network. You are given some road network, and these are the certain nodes you have identified, or these are the nodes they are identified or they are found based on the your solution to the optimization problem. And these kind of approaches require very small data, because all that you need is a road network and then the population data in the neighborhood. How many people are residing and the possibility of buying the vehicle. So with this small amount of data, it is possible to formulate such a problem and then to solve. So there are certain assumptions here made by researchers that the user performs only one trip from source to destination. So this is not the practical scenario, of course. It becomes purely a theoretical scenario where the people have initially tried, and many literatures and research papers are available there. But it suffers from the fact that EV traffic cannot be very disciplined, in the sense that we cannot assume that every user will be performing a single trip from source to destination, because there's a lot of random and a lot of uncertainty as far as the traffic condition is concerned. So this is how this kind of approach is formulated. The other two approaches, one is a path-based approach, where the researchers have considered a specific path, and then they have tried to allocate 1 or 2 or more units along the path instead of considering the node. Here, the two popular models in the literatures are of this type: flow capturing location model and flow capturing refueling model. So I'll not talk about these models in detail. I encourage the participants to just go through the literature to understand how these models are available. And as I said, a participant or researcher can take up these models as they are, and then they can try applying some method to solve the given problem. So this is one path-based approach. A tour-based approach is also proposed in many articles, and this is more realistic here in the sense it considers random nature of the EVs or EV trips. So therefore, of course, then when you approach to a more realistic scenario, the problem becomes very complex and difficult because it requires a lot of data. It requires travel data to be collected from the suitable agency, the travel route, the driving behavior also to be captured appropriately, and so on. However, if this data is collected, probably the optimization formulation become very easy, and then it can be solved to find the better and strategic solution. I mean, this kind of situation is a real situation, and it can give better results compared to the other two approaches. So if you notice something is not going in order, probably you should interrupt me so that maybe I can answer some questions. So the earlier slides were talking about optimal placement of charging facility considering the given road network. This is a second vertical wherein people have extensively tried to solve this problem of optimal placement of charging station in a given distribution network either, or people have proposed altogether new distribution network in the existing framework where the charging stations may be put up to optimize something. So here select the distribution network, okay, if it is a given distribution network to be considered, because you can see here the people have tried solving these optimization problems for IEEE systems, and most of you are aware of these standard IEEE systems. Maybe you might have seen for studying the protection related problems or scheduling related problems and so on. So you can see different test systems people have tried. These are all distribution network benchmark systems available in the literature with all the data, and these systems can be used to formulate an object, I mean to test your concept or your objective function. So here the first approach is to identify a distribution network. It may be a practical distribution network if you are working on a practical problem instead of this benchmark problems, and then formulate an appropriate objective function to maximize or minimize whatever may be, minimize the cost of commissioning, installation, or maximization of net benefit if you are EV charging facility, and other constraints, other objective functions are also possible. Constraints are generally, as said before, number of chargers. Here, since it's a distribution network, now for a given distribution network, this voltage limit is considered here. In previous case, these terms were not there because it is assumed that the variables or the output solutions are not going to affect the voltage limit of the grid or so. So that was a more theoretical scenario. Here we are little closer to practical scenario where we are bothering grid parameters like voltage limit, thermal limit, and so on. And again, after formulating the objective function and constraint equations, we can try some suitable method, and then eventually the unknown variables can be found, like number of nodes of a distribution network where the charging facilities to be placed, number of charging stations or the facilities at a particular node, and so on. So here the motivation is that improper placement of a charging facility affects the security, reliability. You know, all these terms, like they are associated with the electrical facility. So voltage stability, reliability, and power losses are the key issues, and they should reflect in your formulation. There are 3 to 4 type of problems I could see here under this range. I mean, broadly, I can club or categorize the research papers under this, like investment cost minimization type of objective functions are considered by people, or energy loss is considered as a constraint in this kind of formulations. As I said, in certain researches, I have found that existing distribution grid may be required to be expanded. So researchers have tried to propose an expansion of distribution grid for finding the suitable location and suitable size of charging facility. So this kind of formulation is also proposed. In certain research articles, I have seen that people have tried considering even wind as a source in that grid and modeling of the wind speed and all those things. So it's like hybrid type of problem where the optimal location of the charging station, considering wind farm as one of the source in the neighborhood. So this kind of formulations are popular. These are all brief ideas, and these are the test systems people have tried. So this is the last vertical, what I can see in the different literatures, where the people have considered both, I mean, given transport network, road network, as well as distribution network. And obviously, when both things are considered, this becomes a multi-objective optimization problem. And moreover, the number of constraints are also more, because the road-related construction constraints will come, electrical side constraints will come, and therefore more constraints are to be dealt with, and this becomes non-convex combinatorial problem, a difficult problem with several minima and maxima, and that needs to be solved by some kind of nature-inspired algorithm in order to get at least some suboptimal solution close to the global-based solution. Again, here in range of literatures, either people have used the benchmark functions available in the literature where some grid is considered and some road network is considered. You can see two things here. A distribution network is considered here, and road network with certain nodes are considered here. And these are several articles you can see on the screen. I mean, benchmark functions people have proposed. It can be, I mean, we can try solving same problem by other approach and same kind of network conditions or road conditions. There are some papers I could see where the researchers have considered typical road infrastructure and distribution grid at a particular location. Maybe here this problem considers road network of a city in Malaysia, and then 14 bus test system, and then other one in some other country, and so on. So there are certain projects you can see where the actual conditions have been considered while solving the problem, and these problems are reported in the literature. So this is the third vertical. So I think we can learn here that there are 3 verticals in which the research work can be taken up further. So let's consider some constraints which people have presented there. See, I have not explicitly mentioned functions, cost functions or objective functions in terms of equations, because there are so many type of functions I could see, and it was very difficult for me to include each and every function reported in the literature. So this is a general approach where at least we can understand what kind of different terms included in objective function, and we can understand those literatures in order to improve the quality of those research articles, or maybe we can reformulate those objective functions altogether to come out with a new objective function to be solved and to be published. So cost is most commonly used objective function. It's a the constraints we'll see later on what are the constraints. So cost component, which is, I mean, cost, which is an objective function, has several parts, like the cost may be access cost, waiting cost, installation cost, and so on. So you can see the definitions of different costs are given here. The installation cost may be a land cost, construction cost, charger cost. These are all one-time investment costs that reflect into objective function. And the operating cost is, of course, like energy consumption at the charging station bus. Access cost is also formulated here because it has to be taken into account. Why? It's an additional cost which is incurred to access the charging station. So the some cost is associated with the vehicle while accessing, and that should reflect because everything has to be minimized to motivate more penetration or more use of EVs. Waiting time cost, because when EVs are parked near charging station, there is some cost incurred. See, charging point is not available, and then the EV is compelled to wait for some time. So that has to be translated into appropriate cost. So these are the different cost components people have presented in the literature, and we can then see how they are formulated. There are some other objective functions also reported in the literatures, and this is another one, that's a net benefit. So this objective function is more relevant if the charging station has a V2G capability. So I understand that participants are available, are aware of this term called vehicle to grid, because you know that the vehicles are charged. If you have a vehicle and then you have your own charger, domestic charger. So this domestic charger, actually chargers have level 1, level 2, and then level 3. So we are talking about level 3 type of charging facility to be put up as a public facility, whereas a level 1 and level 2 are mostly a domestic charging facility. So what we have been reading into the literature, that all the vehicle owners, they charge the vehicle at home during night hours. I'm talking about the light vehicles, particularly car, and other vehicles are commercial vehicles. Probably you should be knowing trucks and other things. But see, light car is generally owned by a person, and that is charged during night hours. And the next day, this car is not used much. It has been found that for 90%, 95% of the time, the car is not in use. Okay, because people buy a car and then travel to office, and the whole day the car is parked in the office. Whereas commercial vehicles, they are used round the clock, right? So they are not available at charging station. I mean, except during charging, right? So this car can, with a battery fully charged during night, can act as a source of power for a grid. So the charging station can even invite car owners to park their car there, and then it can discharge the power into the charging station back to the grid. So charging station can sell the electricity to the grid, particularly during peak hours. So as you know, during peak hours, the cost of electricity is very high. So that is how the charging facilities they can earn. They can act as a trader here. So there are now charging stations with V2G capability. I mean, that charging station should be able to inject the power into the grid and should be able to take the power from the grid for charging. So here under this or say, and in this case, the objective functions are of or objective function is to maximize the net benefit here, right? Because they take the power from the grid and they also inject power to the grid. So they always try to maximize the net benefit, and this objective function may have four components like benefit of discharging, benefit of power, from upstream grid, benefit of daytime charging, and benefit of improving the operating parameters. So you can see the definitions of all these things. Let's see very quickly what are these. So benefit of discharging, what I mean is the profit earned by the charging station by buying the cheap power from EV, because the EV is charged during night hours and they can sell power to the charging station at a cheaper rate. So EV charging facility need not buy the power from the grid, because grid will be giving electricity at higher cost, whereas EV facility or electrical vehicle owner can give at lower cost during peak hours. Okay, so that is a benefit to the charging station facility. Moreover, this benefit of providing power from upstream grid. So what is that? It is actually a profit earned by charging station by providing power to the grid. See how the charging facility can earn. They can buy power at cheaper rate from the EV owners, and then they can sell it to the grid at higher rate during peak hours. So that is another benefit to the grid operator. And then this power, if the charging facilities sell to the, if they sell to the utility during peak hour, then they will earn even more. Okay, because at peak hour charging facility will earn more money while selling it to the grid. And see, V2G capability based V2G capability based charging facility, charging stations will be able to help to the grid in terms of the electrical parameters, because the V2G charging station itself acts as a source of power, source of active power as well as reactive power, because you know that the power electronic inverter can act as a STATCOM, and many of the speakers must have talked about that the inverter in either EV or maybe in the wind based source, maybe DFIZ, I would say DFIZ, or even solar inverter. These all inverters can inject the reactive power into the grid to support the reactive power. So that benefit, I mean, they act as an ancillary service to support or to provide the reactive power to the grid in order to ensure the reliability and the voltage profile of the grid. So these are the different type of functions. Those functions can be optimized in order to identify suitable location of a charging station. So hope this is clear to you. There's a third objective. First two objectives I have not formulated mathematically because there are several ways to do so. So I encourage participants to check the literatures if someone intend to work in this area to formulate, to learn more about how these objective functions are specified, how the constraints are specified, and so on. There is a third type of objective function where the electric vehicle flow on the road can be an objective function, where the idea is to maximize the flow, to encourage more EV users on that particular route. And, in order to do so, this function is like this: maximize EV flow. And this is an equation, summation of a term FV Vy, where FV is a rate of flow of traffic. The data is to be collected from the transport network. It's a rate of flow of traffic here. And then the other term YV is 0 and 1. That indicates at least one, because see, this is a discrete type of problem. the charging facility should be there or should not be there. That kind of result or solution will be provided by your optimization problem. So this is a maximization of EV flow on that particular path. So this is one. Then I think I have done with three type of cost functions. One is the cost itself is a function. Second is the net benefit as another objective function, and third one is a electric flow as an objective function. So I encourage the participants to know more about these objective functions. Now there are equality constraints considered in most of the literatures. Particularly, these equality constraints are not bothered in a range of literatures where only the road network is considered. Okay, where it is assumed that the grid has enough capacity to provide the power to the charging facility. But for other two types of verticals where the distribution network is under consideration, these equality constraints must be respected. So these are the typical power flow equations. And the third equation also to be considered, because what it says is that the charging demand of ith charging station and PI capacity of rth charging station, they should balance with each other. So it means that the charging facility should have enough capacity. So that is the third equality constraint. So there are three equality constraints mostly considered while solving the problems associated with the optimal placement of a charging infrastructure. So you can see the constraints are broadly classified into equality constraint and inequality constraint. So equality constraints are shown here. Charging demand is one constraint which is represented here, and these are the two typical power flow equations to be considered. While the inequality constraints includes the voltage limit, because see, a distribution network is under consideration, number of chargers, charging points or chargers in a particular charging facility, thermal limits, budgetary provision, distance. This distance, see, charging stations must not be placed close to each other. Okay, if several charging stations are at close to each other, then also it may not be commercially or technically feasible. So that acts as another constraint while identifying the suitable location of charging facility. This is the slide you can see, wherein what we notice is that these are the different objective functions reported under these three verticals. Okay, this is first vertical, second vertical, and third vertical. And see the range of objective functions you can add here if you believe that's an appropriate objective function, and you can just augment the list. Whereas the decision variables or the output variables of your optimization problem will be the bus number in a distribution network, or the nodes on the node on the road network, charging station density. So density, like number of charging stations per square kilometer or per area, in that sense, that acts as another, or that is another decision variable, or number of chargers. Okay, so these are the different decision variables of any typical optimization problem, and the constraints are many, but some of the constraints are listed over here, that budget, power flow. I mean, this is line constraint, this becomes line limit, because line has enough and is having certain capacity to carry the power. So thermal limit, voltage limit, and so on. So this is the classification of different problems. So if you intend to do some more research in this area, I have 3 slides where I have found some literature gaps. And these literature gaps, the researcher may take up to work on. And the first gap I found is there are few problems where the multi-objective framework is presented, because multi-objective is a framework which is more practical. Multi-objective means at least 2 to 3 objectives have been considered representing a more practical scenario, right? So reformulation of problem is essential, and you can reformulate some of the objective functions. Secondly, the objective function can include these things also, that this is fine, installation cost is fine, operating cost is also fine, maintenance cost can also be included, power loss penalty cost, reliability indices can be considered here. So I think these last 2 bullets are very important. So you can include these particular distribution system reliability indices into your optimization framework. So probably you might be aware of this SAFE, SAIDI, and so on. This is SAFE is the system average interruption duration index, as you know, and otherwise this is also another interruption index associated with a distribution facility. So these indices can be included in your optimization framework. So these problems are missing. I mean, there are no papers I could see where the objective function includes these distribution indices. Secondly, I could not see a paper wherein the stability indices, voltage stability indices are included. As you know, these are the L indices, fast voltage stability index, and so on. So you can include these indices into some formulation, and you can come out with even more practical scenario, and then that can be appreciated by your research, can be appreciated by the reviewers. So the road condition models by this is mostly algorithm used to say consider or treat the flow. I think this term comes from the hydraulics, okay, where the flow of water is modeled by using this Bayesian algorithm. So you can extend this concept. I mean, flow of water is same as a flow of traffic. Okay, road traffic, they just flow like a water in the pipe. So modeling of road traffic by using this algorithm can be another idea to account for road traffic conditions. So these are some open-ended gaps I propose to include for your research. Secondly, I already told you this, that you can give a try. What way you can do it. See, genetic algorithm has been extensively applied in majority of the researches, what I could see. Not only this GA, differential evolution, and PSO, this is mostly tried by people, and some other ant colony optimization is also there. So you can try with some new, maybe you can use ABC algorithm, or maybe you can try with NSGA2 algorithm. NSGA2 has not been implemented. I mean, it is there in certain multi-objective, but NSGA2 coupled with ABC, this can be another hybrid to search for even better solutions that can be tried. And then there are very few papers where the wind and solar energy is included. So you can model this wind and solar in a probabilistic framework, as we will see about wind at least in the next couple of slides. So wind speed can be probabilistically represented, and it can be included in this optimization framework. So this can be another altogether new research paper where you are including the probabilistic nature of wind and solar into the optimization framework of charging infrastructure facility location. So this is what I could see. Fine. So these are the 2 gaps I could see, and then these participants like to take up some research work considering these things. So I'll just change a gear, and I have some 3-4 slides where I'll talk about very briefly renewable energy, because the theme of this workshop is to study EV based technology and renewable energy based technology. So I just talked about EV based situation, but especially my focus was on grid side, remember, I have not talked about anything which has to do something on device side. So there was no power electronics related any optimization framework I talked about, but you can always give a try to maybe one of my PhD scholar is working on optimizing the gain of a PI controller, which is used to brake the electric vehicle through regenerative braking. So here overshoot, peak overshoot, peak overshoot and settling time. These are the two important concerns. So we are trying to minimize the overshoot and we are trying to minimize the settling time. And for that, a suitable objective function is formulated in which the Kp and Ki are the unknowns, and these Kp and Ki are unknown, they are found. Then a suitable Simulink diagram can be developed where these terms are included, and these are optimized by using say genetic algorithm or PSO or ABC and so on. And then we can check whether these values of Kp and Ki are producing the output while breaking the EV with a minimum overshoot and minimum settling time. So this kind of research problems, I mean, there I couldn't see a single paper where the PI controller gains are optimized for EV application. So you can give a try in that area also if you intend to control the converter for certain reason. Fine. So now it's a second track or second part of my presentation. I think we have been talking for last 1 hour. I can take a pause, and if you believe you have some concern, you can ask some question, because I don't know what extent I have missed the participant as far as my presentation is concerned. So Professor Kumbar, are you there? Maybe there are 22 participants I can see. Is there any question from participant side? Okay, I don't know if it's all right. I don't know whether it is in order. There's no response from any participant. Am I audible, in fact? Can someone let me know? Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You are audible, sir.
Okay, that's great. Is that all right going on? I mean, are you getting something out of
Yes,
this?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, fine, fine. It has been 1 hour, so let me now briefly introduce you about the other part, where how the renewable energy part is included. I mean, what are the different approaches or in what way this wind energy is optimized into the grid. That is a part of discussion for next couple of slides. And then in the last part, I'll just quickly go through ABC and then NHGA2. I don't know, we have 40 minutes time available. So let's see to what extent I can cover these things. This is a very good another research area where if you believe that you have a good ability to write a program, and before that if you can formulate the problem, or either you can use the ready-made formulation available in the literature and you can try with some other methodology, probably you can come out with very good research article also. So these are the two areas like economic dispatch and optimal power flow, extensively studied in the literature. Probably on Google Scholar you will find several hundreds, thousands of papers. And now people have been trying to include these uncertain renewable energy sources like wind and solar, because as you should be knowing that in our country itself, we have 11% power which comes from wind plus solar now. I remember maybe 10 years before, we were having just 3% or so power from wind and solar, but it has grown to 11%. And this is a reasonable number because now it has brought down our coal-based power penetration. Maybe earlier it was 70% and it has gone down here. We have 20 to 25% power from hydro, right? So this number is not good. 70% power from coal is not a good idea. And therefore, more and more renewable energy can bring down this number from 70 to 60 and so on. Because many developed nations have a target to have a 50% of the renewable energy, 50% of the grid should be connected to the renewable energy sources. We can imagine 50% energy from the renewable energy sources will help improve the economy of the country by a very large number, right? Because if the energy is freely available, probably the cost of many things will go down and it will drive the export in that country. So now since the trend is towards more and more renewable energy, but then again it comes with a side effect and nothing is free here. So since the wind energy and solar energy, they are highly uncertain in nature, they create problem in the grid. So there are many technical problems in the grid. And then I already started discussion. I mean, in the beginning, I told you that this kind of sources affect the grid. And therefore, there are issues like stability of the grid to be, to be maintained, voltage deviation, stability. These are the issues, even security for that matter. Because we cannot schedule the wind power or solar power so easily. So it may create a balance mismatch between power demand and power generation, right? And this mismatch may affect the frequency of the grid, and then it may affect the reactive power in the grid and therefore the voltage of the grid. So there are many issues and many papers are available in the literature where people have tried to solve some optimization problem to improve the grid parameter or grid performance, right? Moreover, there are range of research papers where people have solved economic dispatch and optimal power flow problem in presence of this wind or solar, okay? And this economic dispatch OPF problems are solved because they are used for power system planning, operation, control, power system expansion, even as you know, transmission line expansion, distribution network expansion, and so on. So therefore, they are extensively studied and they are very important. And you know, the goal of these problems, I mean, ED and optimal OPF, is to reduce the generation cost while fulfilling the load demand, okay, and the equipment limits also, because there are transformers and then many switch gears, capacitors, they participate in a power transmission process. So their limits are to be respected. So this kind of problem, wherein the wind farm is included, has been formulated as a single objective or multi-objective. So this is all I told you. The trend is towards wind energy, and then key driver is that this one. Emission is going to grow by 130% by 2050. So that has been mentioned in many literatures. So this is terrible. And there is a result of which more trend is towards renewables. Okay. Electric vehicle is therefore again, injected into the market by providing economic incentives. So these are all motivating factors to have more and more wind power and solar power into the grid. But then it, as I said, it affects the ED and optimal power flow formulation. So let's see. This is a very crowded slide, but no need to worry. I'll make it simple. This problem, see, this kind of presentation has been reported in literature, and it was in 2007. An author with the name Hedger proposed this model. It's in IEEE transactions on power system. This model was proposed, and after that, since 2007, I think there are thousands of papers published where people have used the same formulation to solve either economic dispatch problem or OPF problem, okay, with a different set of algorithms, and then results are published in the literature. So what is this formulation? Let us see quickly, and then let us see what are different other concerns associated with this module or formulation. So if you notice, if you look at the screen carefully, probably you should notice that this is the typical cost function of a thermal power plant. Okay, of course, it includes this term also. So this is a typical term for a thermal power plant, whereas there are three terms I will highlight. This is the first term. This is called direct cost of wind energy. This is another cost. Okay, it's another cost. It is called overestimation cost, and this is called underestimation cost. See, you are going to schedule the wind power here, and wind power cannot be scheduled so easily because you don't know how much will be wind which will be blowing tomorrow. You can just forecast the wind. So based on the forecast, you can schedule the wind power, but the forecast may be uncertain. I mean, this forecast of wind, I think you have heard about this term called forecasting of the load. Load forecasting is very common and known to the people, where the forecasting of future event is done based on the past events. So forecasting is done in the stock market, weather department, and so on. So here also the weather department forecasts the wind speed, but this forecasting always involves uncertainties, and these uncertainties associated with forecasting are modeled by using these two extra terms. Had it been the case that there is a steady wind, okay, always there is a steady wind. If you assume that the wind is not uncertain, it is a steady always. I mean, if I can know tomorrow the wind speed will be 10 meters throughout a day, okay. I think someone has mic on, please mute it. If I believe that tomorrow's wind speed will be 10 meters per second and it will be steady, it doesn't happen. But if I assume this ideal scenario, or say some kind of theoretical imaginary scenario that tomorrow throughout a day the wind speed will be 10 meters per second, then the job of a network operator will be very easy. The network operator will consider this speed and will know that how much power will come from the wind farms, and then wind farms will be informed to dispatch this power, and only this term will be there in that formulation, that is how much power comes from the wind farm, and then this is the cost actually. Okay, this is the cost of wind power. So this term would be there only had it been the case that we were knowing the wind speed, or we are aware of the wind speed in future. But as you know that wind speed cannot be forecasted with that accuracy, and there is an uncertainty involved. So two more terms enters here, and that is called one is called underestimation cost, and other is called overestimation cost. So overestimation represents that the wind power was expected, say 100 megawatt wind power was expected from the wind farm, and we received only 80 megawatt. So that looks like it was an overestimation. We found the shortage of 20 megawatt. So here we have to bring into operation gas turbine. Okay, gas turbine is, as you know, that they act as a reserve power reserves, and these are costly. So to cope up with this, we need some kind of reserve. So there is an extra cost involved here. So that is how this term is taken into account. That is overestimation. There is another scenario possible, that is called as underestimation. That means I estimated that tomorrow's available wind power would be 100 megawatt, but I got 150 megawatt. So I planned with 100 megawatt, and actually I received 150 megawatt from the wind farm. So there is the extra 50 megawatt which I cannot use now because I have already a steam turbine, I mean steam generation plant. So this 50 megawatt would be extra, and it has to be spilled out. But then this is money. I mean, this is a loss of, revenue. So this 50 megawatt has also to be included in terms of cost. So therefore, you will notice that in literature, the formulation of cost of wind power, and therefore the same, I mean solar and electric vehicle also. I just told you that electric vehicle have got V2G capability. So electric vehicle with V2G capability, I mean charging station with V2G capability, they also use the same approach, because availability of electric vehicle at charging station is not known to any charging facility, charging station operator. So therefore there are three terms again. One is the cost, direct cost, considering that the electric vehicle will be available, just like saying that the speed will be 10 meter per second. I'm assuming, and then for that some cost is there. Whereas two more uncertainty cost, that is overestimation cost and underestimation cost. So this model, what you see on the screen, is applicable to wind power, solar power, as well as electric vehicle V2G facility. And this model has been extensively used in literature for scheduling problems, wherein all these three resources are included. So the last term I will not talk much about, because it talks about the emission, because you know that there is a emission produced out of thermal power plant. So this is an optional term. Okay, you can account it or you may not, you may ignore it. And these are the constraints, you know, these are the two typical constraints in any optimization framework. One is the equality constraint, that is the total power generated from thermal power plant, total power generated from wind farm, or maybe solar, or maybe V2G facility, should balance the losses in the transmission network and the load demanded. This is a ED problem basically. And then you see here the inequality constraint is on the part of the capacity of the power plants, right? So that these are the models. Okay, I think I should skip a slide because I have to go take you through ABC algorithm very quickly, and then probably will be closing the session. So this slide is all about how the wind speed is modeled, and for this purpose, the wind speed is always represented in terms of Weibull probability distribution function. So uncertainty associated with wind power, this uncertainty is modeled probabilistically by using Weibull probability distribution function. Probably the participants might be aware of normal distribution, right? So normal distribution is also used sometimes to model the availability of the wind. But more real scenario is possible if the Weibull probability distribution function is used. And this function is represented here. It represents the probability of the wind speed at any point of time, right? Where C and K, these are the two parameters which are used, and these are known from the site, location of site. And then cumulative distribution function is also needed in our formulation. Wind power available from the wind turbine, you might consider any, maybe DFIZ, or maybe your squirrel cage induction motor based induction generator, or maybe even synchronous machine based induction synchronous machine based generator. Mostly this kind of scenario or this kind of graph is provided by the manufacturer, where you can see there is a cut-in speed, there is a rated speed of the wind turbine, and there is a cutout speed. So this is a portion which represents the non-linear relationship between power output and wind speed, and this is represented as a cubic relationships. So this wind speed equation should be included in a economic dispatch or optimal power flow objective function formulation, and that has been done. And these are the different probabilities associated with wind speed being 0, wind speed being rated, and this is general formula of power output of wind turbine for any wind speed. Okay, so these three equations are needed in objective function formulation. Probably you may like to read my research articles available. You can just type HT Jadhav in a Google Scholar, and you will find some articles where I have explained all these things in a very simple language, where you can just read it. infrastructure problem or charging station placement or location problem. That is one area you can pick up. Second area is I talked about how the wind speed uncertainty can be taken into economic dispatch or OPF formulation. Okay, this is another area where you can apply some algorithm to solve the problems given in the literature. You can pick up a problem in the literature here also. You can pick up a problem in the literature, but try with new methodology. And the third part is now we'll talk about some kind of swarm intelligence based algorithm. Okay. So see, the nature inspired algorithms are classified into categories. Basically, there are two categories. One is a evolutionary algorithm, other is a swarm intelligence based algorithm. So these are mostly studied in literature, which are GA and DE as a part of evolutionary algorithm. Whereas there are range of swarm intelligence based algorithm, maybe hundreds or thousands of algorithms might be there. I don't know now, because every day new algorithm is launched and then people claim that it is better than other. But according to my knowledge, it is very difficult to beat these algorithms. These algorithms, GA is so fantastic and excellent that it is very difficult to challenge this. And moreover, the PSO, these three algorithms have been tried as swarm intelligence based algorithms, and they have been found to be better than any algorithm according to my studies. But still people claim that new algorithm is better. We have to prove, of course, because I see some kind of malpractices are also possible in this kind of researches, where people find the answer with one algorithm which is more mature, and then they claim that other algorithm has produced that answer. So that might be a possibility, I suspect. I think someone
someone has opened that. Please mute this audio, please. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Professor, I have only 20 minutes. I don't know, only I'll be able to cover this. Particle swarm optimization, PSO, has been tried extensively. ACO is tried, but ABC is more promising, because I have done a lot of studies using ABCs, and some 6 to 7 articles are there, mostly based on ABCs, and they are found to be more promising for many optimization related problems. Recently, one student has implemented a charging infrastructure related problem also, and the results are better. And we have written a manuscript to be submitted only now. There are range of multi-objective optimization problems where NSGA2, which is very old algorithm proposed in 2003 by K. Kalyan Mohidev in IIT Kanpur. So it has been extensively reported. And then there are some hybrid models now, like PSO combined with NSGA2 and ABC combined with NSGA2. So recently we have developed this ABC and NSGA2, and then at least 4 to 5 research articles I think we should be able to prepare. The results are already obtained, only we have to write the manuscript for ED related problems. Okay. And you will wonder that this problem is solved by one second year guy from Walchand Engineering College, who happened to me, who was my participant sometimes, and then he worked and then he got excellent results also. So then these are the range of problems people have tried. So I'll just get into one ABC algorithm. I had other algorithms also to discuss, but I don't have time probably. I'll just leave my YouTube links to all the participants where all the algorithms have been discussed, at least 3-4 algorithms, and then participants can check those videos offline if they intend to learn. Okay. Any algorithm you can pick up, any, and you will find that these are the 7 steps. So if you understand one algorithm, probably you can understand any algorithm which will be introduced in future or which has been there introduced by past researchers. So in all algorithms, what is common? So common is generate many solutions randomly. Okay. So considering the problem of EV infrastructure, and I told you that there are decision variables like number of nodes, okay, and then maybe other variables are involved, say for example voltage deviation and so on. Or maybe in a typical economic dispatch problem, the power output of a wind farm or thermal power plant are the decision variables, right? So all these have got certain range, and randomly we need to generate a solution. And this randomly generated solution, of course, by a program written in a suitable language, your computer will generate a random solutions, maybe 100,000, any solutions you would like to generate, you may generate. And then you have to check the objective function value because you intend to minimize something or maximize something. Okay. So you have to just calculate this objective function value and then save the best value. Okay, because you have 100 solution generated or 1,000 solution generated. Out of 1,000, find out the best objective function value. Suppose it is minimization problem, so you will pick up the minimum solution out of 1,000 solution generated randomly. Or if it is a maximization problem, you will identify the solution which has given you a maximum value of objective function. So save that best value and then modify it, this best solution, okay, which was generated based on the randomly generated solutions. So modify this solution which you found in a step number 3, and again check the objective function, okay, and then again compute the best solution and save it, and just go on repeating this this loop. Once you just do this, stop after some, say 500 iterations, 100 iterations, 100 iterations or 1,000 iterations, and you will get the best solution. So this is the general framework of any nature inspired optimization algorithm, any. And same we are going to discuss here for within next 10 to 15 minutes for an algorithm which is an artificial bee colony. So I have at least 10 slides. We'll just run through because we are approaching. Professor, is that fine if I continue, or should I just invite for questions? And I can share these past videos also so that they can check. What is your
Sir, for me, not a problem. Reason is next session will start only 2 o'clock only.
Okay, okay.
So,
Okay.
but it's better we can ask the participants also as per your wish.
Yeah. So what we can do, because we have now 15 minutes of time left only.
Okay.
So what I can do is I'll share some links of my videos like GA, PSO, and ABC and NSGA too. Okay.
Okay.
And then you can pass on these links
Sure.
to participants.
Okay.
And because each video takes around 2 hours, 1.5 hours. Okay.
Okay.
So then 6 to 7 hours of content is already there on the YouTube, and they would like to go through to learn something out of. So I think we should use that strategy here.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me stop and invite questions.
Okay.
There are some questions probably I can answer. Otherwise, we will close the session.
Okay. Actually, fine, sir. Fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Actually, Miss Madhavi has sent one message in Google chat box. Now, in between the connection disconnected. Miss Madhavi,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
can you ask the question? Actually, due to disconnected the chat box, the message has gone. I have seen one question in the chat box. Yeah.
I can.
My question is, what are the challenges while charging and discharging of electric vehicle, and which algorithm should we prefer for this area?
Okay.
Yeah, challenges. I think if you just check my presentation, probably you should have noticed that there are several.
I am not present for starting PPTs.
Yeah. See, challenges in the sense, see, there are basically 3 types of verticals in which the placement, or say there are three situations we need to consider while finding the best location of say your charging station. So just look at the screen. I have something to say here, that placement of a charging station should be done considering the existing road network. See, the electric vehicles will require a road, okay, road network, because without a road network, you can't have electric vehicles running on the road. So to motivate the EV buyers, we need to have a suitable road network, and that is not a big deal because now most of the countries have got very good road network and road connectivity. So that condition is already there. So for a given network, we have to now identify the points where we can have a very good, I mean, where we can have a suitable charging location. Similarly, see, every charging terminal requires a distribution network, right?
Yes.
Otherwise we have to extend a distribution network to that location in order to provide a charging facility to the EV buyers. So there are three types of problems the researchers have studied. So here challenges, you use the word challenges. Challenges are like in terms of waiting time, because when EV user visits to the charging terminal, then the waiting period is a concern. So that is one this challenge. Secondly, I think I have summarized all the challenges in one of the these things slides. So maybe I can highlight some of them, like cost. Let me consider a cost. Cost of putting the charging station is another challenge, because see, this charging facility is a capital intensive business. There is a lot of investment. Okay. So if someone puts the charging facility and if there are no customers, probably there is a loss of revenue. So cost itself is a big challenge, and every researcher or maybe every charging facility utility will try to minimize this cost. Secondly, traffic may be another challenge, because you put up a charging station, you would like to put up a charging station where there is possibility of reasonable number of EV users traveling. So this is another challenge. Network itself, distribution network may not have enough capacity in terms of active power, reactive power, in terms of voltage deviation and so on. So that becomes another challenge. Challenge maybe in terms of distance between two charging stations, maybe a distance between say EV user and the charging terminal. So these are different challenges which are included into the optimization framework, and then that is how these challenges are to be overcome. And second question what you asked is that what algorithm we should try. So probably if you have listened me when I was talking about the
Algorithms.
maybe future directions probably. So I said here, people have tried GA mostly. Okay,
Yes.
GA has been tried. I can see PSO people have tried and so on. Okay, but maybe these algorithms are suitable for a continuous functions as well as a discrete. So this problem is mostly a discrete function, because see, the answer is in terms of location. Okay, it's in terms of location and it is in terms of number of charging points. So maybe we can try some other algorithms which are more favorable for discrete type of problems. So this is another answer. And of course, I think I said somewhere that multi-objective optimization framework is not studied at a length. Okay. So you can have a technical problem wherein you have two objectives, minimum two objectives, suitable objectives. Maybe one is a objective which talks about the cost, and second objective talks about the grid parameters or grid limitations. Okay, and you intend to simultaneously handle these two objectives. So NSGA2 can be a very good algorithm. NSGA2, it's a non-sorted genetic algorithm. You can learn and try. As I said, I'll be sharing one video to you, wherein I am talking about NHGA2 algorithm in detail and in a simple language. So if you understand, probably you may like to even develop code. And one more thing, the participant should understand that now on internet, all types of codes are available freely. I mean, you can download MATLAB codes for GA or Python codes for GA or PSO and so on. But these codes are written for a specific situation. So all that you need to do, if you have a little idea about the programming, probably you can use the same code. You can modify this code to suit your problem. If you can do it, probably a lot of burden of programming can also be removed. And within a short period of time, you can just reconfigure this code to suit your technical problem, and you can have even good answers, results, which you may like to communicate. I think Ms. Madhvi, I don't know whether I answered the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if someone have something to say, comment, someone may like to improve the quality of presentation also, because I'm not, yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Next question has been displayed in that chat box. Which algorithm is best for security constraint for grid connected electrical vehicle?
Okay, see, security constraint refers to grid related matter where you intend to improve the reliability, or you may want to, ensure the stability of the grid, and accordingly you have to include all these things in your problem formulation. But the question you said, which algorithm? Any algorithm, see, like all algorithms are general. Any algorithm can handle these constraints. It doesn't matter whether it is a basic or GA or ABC or NH, anything, any algorithm will do, I think. Algorithm is not a problem. I think I answered this question.
Double sir? Okay. Any other questions? I think no questions further.
Okay,
okay, sir.
I hope that this presentation was useful, and
yeah, it is very much useful for sir who are interested for optimization techniques and different things. It will be very helpful for them. Even myself also, I have learned many things of that objective functions, everything, how to do it. Some of the concept I got it. Moreover, you are going to share your videos related to that optimization technique. So surely it will, someone, if you want to do the research in that by knowing the basics, it will be surely it will help us. And the sir also already told it is a simple language only. He is explaining everything. So sir, so much thank you for being with us for last 2 hours. And moreover, whenever I am contacting you, you are so much friendly and discussing with me many things also related to technical. And also when we contacted you for inviting this lecture, you have immediately accepted and given a wonderful lecture. So surely it is a breakthrough for new researchers who are searching for the research where we can go. Surely it will be very helpful for all participants as well. So thank you once again for the behalf of Sanjay Gauda University Electrical Department and participants. Thank you so much for being with us and spend your valuable last 2 hours with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much to all participants, and good luck.
Okay. Dear participants, the next session will start at 2 o'clock. So please be on time at 2 o'clock. Thank you.